Hi, everybody. Sure the lighting is good. Hold on. Okay. Lighting good? Or should it be like that? It's a little dark. Okay. Okay. So, the reason, hello, everybody. The reason I'm on this live stream is because obviously free agency is coming up and it's tomorrow, actually. Actually, I think it's tomorrow. So, because of that, and clearly I didn't do every single team's off-season moves because well, I don't know. I didn't finish it. I'm up to 19. Like today, I finished the 19th team. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do a live stream, do the rest of the team's off-season moves in one thing because obviously I'm not going to have time to do the rest of them since free agency is here. So we're just going to do the rest of the teams that are remaining in the free agency off-season move videos. Um, for some reason, okay, so there are 19 teams, 19 videos in the playlist of the off-season moves, including the one I did today on the Timberwolves. And for whatever reason, I only have 10 teams. Like I have 10 teams and like what their off-season move should be. I can't figure out what the 11th team is. I legit can't figure it out. So maybe, when this live stream is over, you guys can figure out which team I missed because I just can't figure it out. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into the video. So, the first team that we're going to do that is remaining that I didn't do yet is the Cavs. Now, the Cavs are under the cap at 126 right now, but that is before Karis LeVert, if they re-sign him or not. So, the first thing that I would do if I'm the Cavs is I'm going to re-sign Karis LeVert. I think the Cavs really need to kind of stay put with what they have and what they are. I think, all the reports are coming about moving Jared Allen and potentially moving Darius Garland, which makes no sense to me. I don't think they're moving Darius Garland. I think that's I don't want to say a fake report, but at the same time, like I don't see a world where they move Darius Garland. I don't think that makes any sense. I think they need to just be a little patient. Like the team is young. Like Evan Mobley was only in his second year. That's rookie second year, rookie year. Oh my god, I forgot already. That's his second year. Yeah. Anyway, so Evan Mobley is only in his second year. or- I keep forgetting if it's second year or first year. Second year. I think it's his second year. His second year. And then Darius Garland is still really young. Jared Allen is young. And Donovan Mitchell, although he obviously is older than the rest of them, he is in his prime. Like, there's no reason to just be like, oh, we need to make a move and win next year. And if we don't win next year, then like we're a failure. Like, no, just relax. You have plenty of time. The team is young. Evan Mobley is a very talented player. He needs time to develop. We can't expect the Cavs or as the Cavs organization, you can't expect the team just because they have a lot of talent to go from not making the playoffs to just being a championship contender just because you got Donovan Mitchell. Like it doesn't work like that all the time. So I think they really need to relax, so to speak, and not go crazy. Like I would re-sign Karis LeVert. I think he's valuable. Just give the rest of the team time to develop. Like I don't think you need to rush into anything and make these crazy trades. Like just bring in players who make your team better. So I would re-sign Karis LeVert if they are going to re-sign him. If not, then maybe bring in Bruce Brown. I like Bruce Brown. I think he's valuable. I think he would add a lot of value to the team. He's valuable everywhere he goes. You'll notice in this video his name will come up a lot. His name has come up a lot in a bunch of the off-season videos because he's valuable. He adds a lot of value to teams. The next player, so this is interesting. I don't know that they can afford him because I'm not exactly sure what he wants. I do think he wants a decently, large contract. That is Grant Williams. I think Grant Williams would be a really, really good fit on this team. Like Grant Williams would give them that X factor, that toughness factor. I just feel like he would be a really good fit on this team. So if they could get Grant Williams, if he's willing to take whatever they offer him, then I would try to get Grant Williams. And although he obviously plays the four technically, and Evan Mobley plays the four, you can have Grant Williams come off the bench. Like Grant Williams came off the bench in Boston plenty of times. So I would get Grant Williams. That would be an awesome fit. The next player I would target is Torian Prince. Now, Torian Prince just became free, as of yesterday. because the Minnesota Timberwolves declined his contract. He'd be a great fit, 3-and-D guy, toughness, energy. Like, if you notice, the players that I'm saying to sign are just kind of like energy guys, kind of toughness guys. I wouldn't say Karis LeVert's like a toughness guy, although I think Karis LeVert has toughness in his own right. He doesn't have like a reputation for being like a tough guy or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, make moves, sign like Seth Curry, a Josh Richardson, like just players who bring maybe a little bit of veteran leadership and also just players who add value, but at the same time, like you're not trying to take away shots or development from Darius Garland, from Evan Mobley, even from Donovan Mitchell, so to speak. Like you're just kind of trying to bring in players who are like complementary to them. Like I don't think they need to rush into anything. So that's what I would do if I'm the Cavaliers. Now, the next team is the Pacers. Now, the Pacers have a lot of money to spend. They got money. They have 95 million on their books right now. I don't think they have anybody that they need to re-sign as a free agent at this moment. Like anybody, not like Tyrese Halliburton or anything. Because Buddy Hield's on the last year of his deal. They just extended Miles Turner, so he has 2 years left. So they're fine with the players they have, and they have a lot of young players that they drafted. So if I'm the Pacers, I am kind of doing not the same thing as the Cavs because they're in a different position, but I'm bringing in players who can help develop the younger players, but not necessarily take away shots from the younger players. But at the same time, a little bit more so, maybe take away shots than the Cavs would do because the Cavs are more of a win now mode. Like the Pacers, like you still want your players to develop, but like for example, the first player I have them targeting is Brooke Lopez. Brooke Lopez would obviously get a decent amount of shots, but he also would add a ton of value to the team, and he's a very good player. Now, obviously, he would be coming off the bench because of Miles Turner. Not that they can't play together, but I don't know that them on the court at the same time is the greatest fit. They might be able to make it work, but Brooke Lopez coming off your bench. She's a champion. Just teach the young guys, veteran leadership, all that kind of stuff. So, and they have money. And I don't know what Brooke Lopez wants, but this is probably going to be his last large contract at this point in his career because he's 35. So if he wants money because he already is a champion, then the Pacers are a good team because they're up and coming. There's no talk of like bad culture there. Like they have good culture that we know of. Like seems like a nice place. So it's a win-win for Brooke Lopez. So then other players I have on there would be Rui Hachimura would be if they're going to go the younger route, like try to keep players who are, younger. I don't know that they can get Rui because I think the Lakers are going to, well, the Lakers should offer him a significant contract. And I think he wants to win. And obviously, the Pacers are not in position to be a winning team right now, like at least for, to contend for a championship. So it depends what his goals are. He is still really young, too. So maybe he's like, you know what? I want another bag. Like, I want to get a bag. Like, why not? I don't know what his goals are. But the Lakers should offer him a nice contract. But if they don't, then the Pacers should try to offer him something as well. And I would slide Rui to the 3. I know he's like a 3-4. Like it depends on, where he's playing. I guess he technically does play more 4, but they just drafted Jarris Walker. And I want Jarris Walker, if I'm the Pacers, playing the 4. So I would slide Rui to the 3. I think he'd be okay in that position. Like he's athletic, he's fast, he's young. Like I think he'll be fine at the 3. So that's what I would do if they signed him. And then the other player I would sign would be Seth Curry, 3-point shooter, veteran leadership, all that stuff. And then Terrence Davis, just like a nice backup guard who plays good defense and whatever. So that's what I'd do if I'm the Pacers. Spend the money somewhere, but don't go crazy and give someone like a 4-year max when it's not necessary. Like develop your core. So the next team is the Magic. And the Magic have 106 million on their books at this moment. And I don't know if they're going to decline Gary Harris's contract because I believe they can because I don't know if it's guaranteed for this year, something like that. So they might do that. And then I don't know what they're going to do with Jonathan Isaac because it's so sad because Jonathan Isaac is a very good player. He's talented, he's a good player, but obviously he just has the injury bug. Like he can't stay healthy. And so I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with his money at this moment. But even if they like kept both of them on the team, they still have money to work with. So like imagine if they had, Gary Harris's contract off their books too, even more money. Now, the Magic obviously are in position kind of similar to the Pacers. They're young. You want to develop your young core. Like you want to bring in players who would be there on like a 1+1. If you want to give them a max deal for like a 1 year max, 1+1 or something, like that's okay because that makes sense because you're not trying to contend right now anyway. And you bring in some veteran leadership, and the player, whoever it is, gets money. And you're not taking away from your potential salary cap, not taking away from your potential off-season moves for the future. So, when Paolo gets in his prime and Franz Wagner gets in his prime and Wendell Carter Jr. and all them. So, if I am, I'm sorry, I forgot what team I'm doing. If I'm the Magic, you know who I would bring in? Call me crazy. I don't know that he would go there. Maybe. I don't know exactly what he's thinking right now. But Chris Middleton. Would Chris Middleton take a 1+1 max deal? Would Chris Middleton take a 1 year deal? I don't know exactly what his plans are. He is a champion with Milwaukee. I don't know. Maybe he does want to stay. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I kind of like that Chris Middleton signing. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it'd be a nice fit. So, like, I would do Chris Middleton. I have Seth Curry on here. Grant Williams would be like a multi-year deal. So, like, I don't know about Grant Williams, but just players who are older, better in leadership. You're gonna hear the same speech from me, for these younger teams because it's kind of the same route they need to go. Like if you're one of these teams, the Pistons who are up next on the list, Pistons, the Magic, the Pacers, who else on this list? The Thunder, the Jazz, like teams like that, you don't want to mess up your young core because there's a reason you're drafting them. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Is that the saying that people say? It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's like, you don't gotta rush into anything, especially some of these teams have really, really talented players. Like Palo is very talented. There's no reason to like, you know, freak out and just be like, oh my God, we gotta compete right now. Like we need to get someone on a max deal. And then it just messes up Palo's development. So that's what I would do if I'm the Magic. The next team is the Pistons. Now the Pistons, again, similar situation, 97 million on their books. If I'm the Pistons, I'm gonna start off by saying we are not signing any big men. Okay, we have like 65 big men on the team. We're not signing any big men. They have way too many people in the front court already. So like, they got talented players. They got Jalen Duren. They traded for Wiseman. I don't know if Marvin Bagley is a free agent. He might be. He might not be. You got Marvin Bagley already. You have Isaiah Stewart. You have Isaiah Livers. Like, you have enough. You need to go in like the small forward, like that kind of wing guard forward position. Not necessarily point guard because I do want, if I'm the Pistons, Cade to be my point guard of the future. I really like Cade's game. I think he's a very good player. But you need to go in that guard forward position. Like no more big men. So if I'm the Pistons, I'm signing someone like Fred Van Vliet. Although, sorry, something just popped up. I'm going like Fred Van Vliet, something like that. Like even though he's a point guard, and I just said no point guards, but like he's someone who would be like a veteran leader to teach the young players, to teach Cade. And it would be like a max 1 year, 1+1 deal, something like that. Josh Richardson, Kyle Kuzma would be very interesting. And I would make Kyle Kuzma the three. If I was, the Pistons, I would make him play the three. And that would be more of a multi-year deal, of course, because Kyle Kuzma obviously wants his money. And, he'd be a good fit on the team, honestly, in my opinion. But that depends if they really want to go that route. I'm not sure they want to go that route. But yeah, something like Fred Van Vliet, Josh Richardson, like, just players who are gonna, be veteran leaderships. Again, like I said, you're gonna hear that throughout this video for the younger teams, and just not take away shots from the younger players because you want Jaden Ivy to take shots, Cade, um, all that stuff. So the next team is the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat are in a different situation. The Miami Heat have 173 million on their books already, so they are clearly over the cap. They're over the cap limit as they say. If I'm the Heat, I'm re-signing Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent was awesome, awesome, awesome for them. He was very good. There have been talks that the Heat might, decline Kyle Lowry's contract, which is like $28 million, which they would still be over the cap if they declined it. But let's see, like 28 million minus 173, 165, 140 something, 140 something. I don't know if that gives them access to the full mid-level exception. I don't think it does. Just like I said, I'm trying to figure out this new CBA with you guys. Same, I'm still trying to figure it out just like you guys. So I don't know if they would have access to the full MLE, but they probably have access to some of it if they decline, his contract. So if that's the case, then you try to get Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown will be awesome on the Heat. Seth Curry, I've talked about him a bunch of times in this video. Seth Curry, great three-point shooter. It's kind of interesting because the Heat were not very good at three-point shooting in the regular season, but in the playoffs, they were pretty much number one throughout the entire playoffs. So make of that as you will. People figure out which one you think is the fluke, so to speak. Was it the regular season or was it the playoffs? I will say the season before, Miami was number one in three-point shooting. So I'm going with the playoffs was not a fluke. That's my opinion. But yeah, they're basically leading the playoffs in threes. Someone like Bruce Brown, Torrey Craig would be awesome on this team. Torrey Craig would be awesome. Like he'd be perfect, a perfect fit on this team. Read some of the comments. Hello. Bruce Brown to the Lakers. I mean, Bruce Brown has been linked to just about every team for good reason too, because he's a very good player. He's a very good player. Excuse me. He's a very good player. So I don't know exactly where Bruce Brown is going to go. Everybody wants him, so like, I don't know. Like he might go to the Lakers. I have no idea. I just know that everybody's going to try to get him. So, Dame to the Heat ASAP. Let go of Tyler Hero. The window is now. Well, that's if Dame wants to leave. Like Dame keeps saying he wants to stay. So like until Dame says I'm leaving, Dame's not leaving. Like that's just it is what it is. So the next team is the 76ers. They have 164 million on their books already. So they're obviously over the cap. Now we did find out today that James Harden opted in to his player option, and now they're trying to trade him, and they're figuring out, what they're going to trade him for. The Clippers are one of the suitors, and so like people are saying, oh, Paul George for Harden, and obviously, they'd figure out what the other players and picks involved would be. The Knicks were also linked to Paul George, so I don't know. I mean, not Paul George. The Knicks were also linked. They actually were linked to Paul George. They were, but the Knicks were also linked to James Harden. So I don't know exactly what that deal would be. Like, it would have to be something with Randall because of his salary would have to match Harden's, and then I would assume they would want quickly. And I don't know what else it would be. Like, I don't know. So we have to see what happens with Harden, first of all, because that completely changes their whole team. Like, so, because if they trade Harden for Paul George, now they need a point guard. So, like, it changes what they need. So what I wrote down was you got to re-sign Jalen McDaniels. That's for number one. I actually really like a lot of their players on their team. Like I like D'Anthony Melton. I like Paul Reed. Like he's really good. I like Daniel House Jr. Um, I like a lot of their players. It's just like, what happens with Harden? Tyrese Maxey, obviously very good. Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, like all that goes without saying. PJ Tucker, he is that guy. So the players I wrote down are someone like Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Jones. If the Spurs don't re-sign him or don't match any offer he gets, I like Trey Jones. I actually wrote down, I know you're gonna laugh, Derrick Rose. Not as their starting point guard, but just Derrick Rose because supposedly he wants to play and get some playing time. And this is definitely a team where if Harden is gone, he can get some playing time, because he's a point guard. So I actually wrote down Derrick Rose. I know. And then someone like I thought they could potentially trade for would be like DeLon Wright from the Wizards, who I like. Like I feel like he's good everywhere he goes. Like every time he starts, it's like he drops a 30-point triple double. I know I'm kind of exaggerating, but if you watch every time that he gets significant minutes, he puts up like really good stats. I'm not kidding. So I just like his game. I don't know if I want him. Not that I wouldn't want him. I don't know if I would want. I don't know if he is, and this is not personal to him, but we never see him start often. So like I don't know if he is the number one point guard option on a championship team, like being my starting point guard. Maybe if like he gets the opportunity, but I would want him as my backup point guard. Again, that's not personal to him. It's just like, you know, that's just how his career has gone so far. But I really like him. I like his game. So I think he'd be a really good backup point guard. Um, so that's what I would do if I'm the 76ers. You got to wait to see what happens with Harden. It's really hard to make a decision on what they should do. Um, where do you see Harden going? Well, I think the Clippers are the leading candidate right now. And if it's a Harden for Paul George swap, it'll be interesting to say the least because Paul George and Tobias Harris play the same position. And then they need a point guard, the 76ers. So it'll be interesting. And we're actually talking about the Clippers right now. So I will segue into the Clippers as we speak. Um, so the Clippers, I wrote down, depends. We already know they're over the cap. I don't even have to say. I don't even have to say it. They're like 200 million in the cap or 200 million on their books or whatever it is. Um, it depends on what they do with Paul George. Obviously, James Harden trade. For the Clippers, though, like they're one of the teams where they don't really need to sign anybody. Like that sounds crazy, but they don't need anybody. They just need Kawhi and Paul George if that's who, they're sticking with. Kawhi and Paul George to be healthy. They literally had a really good chance to go to the finals this year. Like obviously I don't know what would have happened if they met with Denver, obviously. But like I still believe if Kawhi didn't get hurt, they were beating the Suns without not Chris Paul. They were beating the Suns without Paul George. That's my opinion. I think a lot of people I predicted that before the series started. I think a lot of people when the series did start and they saw how Kawhi was playing, they were like, oh, like they could beat the Suns without Paul George. And then Paul George was going to be back for the second round. So obviously, it would depend how that went. I'm not saying they 100% would have won the championship this year or anything like that, but like every year it's because Kawhi or Paul George or both has some kind of injury. Like obviously re-sign Plumlee, he was really good. Re-sign Russ, he was good. But like they've had a deep roster every year. Like they have so many good every position is talented. Every position is filled. Like they don't really need anybody. They just need to be healthy. So like re-sign the players you have, if you could pick up someone like a Seth Curry, a Torrey Craig, like, even better. But like there's not much they need to do. Like maybe like I said, like a Torrey Craig, maybe another, small forward to have some depth behind Paul George. Like it's really not that much they could do. They just need to be healthy. That is really what they need. So then for the Thunder, they have 99 million on their books. Similar situation, rebuilding. I would bring in someone like Grant Williams. I think would be really nice on this team. Like he would provide a lot of veteran leadership for this team, and he'd bring that toughness, that spark off the bench. Maybe he would start actually. I don't know, but I think he'd be really nice. Brooke Lopez, teach the bigs, teach Chet Holmgren, about being a center in this league and stuff like that. I think he'd be nice. Plumlee, like this, it's the same thing with these younger teams. Like sign players who are older, better in leadership, add value. You don't need to give them gigantic contracts like 5-year maxes because you want your young players to develop, take a lot of shots still, but at the same time have some guidance. So if I'm the Thunder, I'm doing something like that. Like I said, for who did I say that for? Uh, the Magic, I said Chris Middleton. I could see the Thunder, Chris Middleton as well, if like he came for the right price. I don't know if Chris Middleton's available, but maybe a 1+1 for Chris Middleton, like stuff like that. Jazz, similar situation, 93 million on the books. They could use like some point guard guidance, so I would do someone like Van Vliet if they can get him. Seth Curry, Terrence Davis. You're gonna keep hearing the same people over and over. I like Shake Milton. He would be like a backup point guard. So like really someone like Van Vliet. That would be like my top target if I'm the Jazz. Like someone like that, because it would just be a perfect addition to the team. He would, and also because they just drafted, oh, who did they just draft? They had like 5 draft picks. I'm sorry. They just drafted Taylor Hendricks, I believe. They drafted Taylor Hendricks. I believe they drafted Taylor Hendricks. Um, and then they had a few other draft picks. They did draft a point guard. I'm just trying to remember who they drafted. I'll remember when this video is over. I'll remember when this video is over. But the point is, bring in someone like Van Vliet, like someone who will, help develop the younger guys. I did also write down Thomas Bryant because, like, I wouldn't pick up somebody who is going to be a front court starter because I would want Laurie Markkinen and Walker Kessler to get a lot of minutes. I want them developing and playing a lot of minutes. So if I was going to sign a big, I want a backup big. I don't want anyone who like could potentially start. I want to make sure they're starting. So that's what I would do. And then the last team is the Pelicans. Now the Pelicans, I believe, also have point guard needs, in my opinion. Get the new deal worked out with Herb Jones. That's what they're doing right now, working on a long-term deal. They should definitely re-sign him. He's a very, very good player. If I was signing somebody, I would try to get. I feel like Gabe Vincent really fits their style. Like he really fits their style of play, and he is someone who's clutch, will make and take tough shots. He's a good 3-point shooter. I know that his stat in the regular season will tell you that he's not as good as he is, but you saw him in the playoffs. Like he's a good shooter. And he could just, get his own shot. But at the same time, he is not someone who is ball dominant. So, like, he is okay with playing off the ball, and he is also okay with not taking the most shots. Like, because if you're the Pelicans and you assume Zion is healthy, you want Zion to be the number one option, and then Brandon Ingram, and then you can decide from there if it's CJ McCollum, and Trey Murphy and stuff like that. And Gabe Vincent would be okay, I think, he'd be okay with not being the top option. But at the same time, like when you need him, he'll pull up for a clutch bucket. He will do that. He will hustle on defense, play good defense. So like he's smart and savvy. So like that is what I would do. I'll pick up someone like maybe Joe Ingles for 3-point shooting, Dante DiVincenzo, and then maybe a bit Bismack Biyombo, like a backup big to Valanciunas. Jackson Hayes is a free agent. I think Larry Nance might be a free agent too. So someone like Bismack Biyombo who like comes in and does his job well. So that's what I would do from the Pelicans. So these are the teams teams that were remaining of their offseason moves that I didn't get to. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I provided some good insight here. And let's see how free agency goes, because free agency is here. So it'll be very interesting to see, what team gets what, who goes where. It's going to be interesting. So thank you guys so much for joining and watching. And hello to everybody who's watching on playback.